Hello and welcome. How long will Australian citizens endure ongoing human rights violations and the ever-worsening tyranny of rogue health departments? The dumping of hazardous, toxic industrial waste of fluoride into public water supplies against express public objections and contrary to the better informed, qualified judgment of the community is a gross violation of human rights. The transparently dishonest justification of water fluoridation as a population-based medical intervention applied to prevent dental cavities is a ludicrous claim that is thoroughly discredited and universally rejected. This unsought, unwanted medical intervention is forcibly inflicted in defiance of emphatic public refusal to accept this or any other state-sponsored medical intervention. Unconditional public refusal is not a request but a non-negotiable direction from unified communities objecting to the illegal and demonstrably harmful medical intervention of water fluoridation. The inalienable right of refusal is protected by international law. Article 1 of the United Nations Charter declares unconditional support of human rights, thereby asserting the unquestionable right to informed choice regarding medical interventions. The Nuremberg Code clearly proclaims that informed consent is essential. The International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights also enforces strict prohibition against unsought and involuntary medical interventions. The Charter states, "No one shall be subjected without free and voluntary consent to medical interventions." This sacrosanct tenet is enshrined in international law but contemptuously ignored by dictatorial health departments. 193 countries are signatories to the UNESCO's 2005 Universal Bioethics and Human Rights Charter that further reinforces this indisputable precept. It plainly states that any preventative medical intervention can only take place with the free and fully informed consent of all participants. Health departments deviously claim authorization for poisoning water supplies with neurotoxic fluoride is upheld by statute law. Well, statutes are not law, but codified rules of society entirely dependent upon the consent of the governed, without which they are denied the force of law and therefore without lawful standing. Public consent for water fluoridation is emphatically refused by the overwhelming majority, whereby state and federal legislation must comply with and conform to international law. Forced medical intervention against the wishes and the will of the people patently contravenes this law and is a crime against humanity. When I presented this to the West Australian Department of Health, they responded with the absurd evasion of drinking fluoridated water isn't considered a medical intervention. This laughably disingenuous response deliberately avoids the fact that dumping toxic fluoride into the water for the stated purpose is a medical intervention and therefore constitutes a crime. Department officials consistently ignore urgent warnings of expansively corroborated proof of harm. They ignore incontrovertible evidence condemning the practice of water fluoridation as evidenced by 98% of the rest of the world rejecting this provably harmful practice. Accordingly, this human rights violation also constitutes misconduct of public office, malfeasance of public office, breach of trust, reckless endangerment and gross duty of care neglect. It's an unforgivable outrage that Australia lingers in the shameful 4% extreme minority, still enforcing this discredited, universally condemned and entirely malicious public health abuse. Everywhere this monstrous evil raises its ugly head, it encounters well-informed and deeply entrenched community objection. But they contemptuously impose it regardless of majority public objection. Similar community opposition exponentially gathers against ecocidal fracking, smart meters, geoengineering, chemtrails, lethal 5G, media false flags, mandatory vaccines amid the endless stream of crimes against humanity inflicted by malevolent globalist criminals. This gathering public awareness grows in tandem with the tyrannical efforts to further stifle all forms of dissent, political criticism, or well-founded alternative viewpoints. This highly venomous and eminently dangerous free speech suppression cannot stand, and it must be defeated. Thank you for watching.